everyone, today I'm going to be talking about some anticipated fall releases of mine. Tomorrow is September 1st, so hopefully it's okay to be making this video. I guess fall technically starts on September 21st or 22nd, right? So this is a little early, but I mean, it's September. It's time to talk about fall, right? That's okay. Honestly, I decided to make this video because I wasn't even sure how many books were coming out this year still that I wanted to read. I feel like last year I had way more, but then on the other hand, a bunch of those which supposedly I was anticipating, I didn't even read until the first part of 2021. So I actually, when I sat down to make a list for this video, I did come up with a few things that I'm looking forward to, so I'm going to talk about those today. I'll just go in order of release date rather than try to rank these in terms of excitement level. First, on September 7th, we have Certain Dark Things by Silvia Moreno-Garcia, so technically this is still a summer release if you want to be very specific about the calendar. My favorite book by Silvia Moreno-Garcia is still Gods of Jade and Shadow. Mexican Gothic was a little bit too much horror for me, like the writing was beautiful, it just grossed me out at the end, but I really do enjoy her writing and it seems like she's become a lot more successful these past few years, so it's really nice that some of her earlier books are getting re-released, because when I first looked her up and saw these titles, none of them were actually available at that time. So The Beautiful Ones was re-released earlier this summer, and it wasn't my favorite thing by her, but I did actually really enjoy it, so I was happy I read that. And Certain Dark Things is another re-release. It was originally published in... Oh, I didn't write that down. Darn. Well, it was originally published a few years ago. Because her books are also different from each other, I never really know if it's going to work for me or not, or if it's going to be, you know, too much horror or something like that, too dark for me. But I'm still excited to read this one. It seems like it's about Aztec vampires and it's set in Mexico City and has kind of a noir theme. So that could be really great, or it could end up being too dark for me, but there's only one way to find out, I guess. Next, on October 12th, that is a hard number to say, 12th. Okay, anyway, moving on. Across the Saltwise Sea by Deborah Baker is releasing, aka Seanan McGuire. This is the second book. What was the first one called? Darn it. This is the sequel to Across the Woodward Wall, which is part of the Up and Under series. These are children's books that were originally, I guess, intended or created. I don't know. They were mentioned in her book Middle Game, which is an adult novel. And this is a fictional series of books that appears in that book by the author Deborah Baker, who is an alchemist writing under a pen name. And then she decided to actually write the books that were featured within the book. So I have a review up of Across the Woodward Wall that I'll link to. I really did enjoy the first one. It really did speak to my inner child, and I'm looking forward to reading the second one. The first one ended completely on a cliffhanger, so I don't know how long this series is supposed to be or how many of them she's planning to write, but it was a really nice read. It was short, and I think I'll probably enjoy the second one similarly. When it comes to Seanan McGuire Portal Fantasy, I definitely think I prefer this series to the Wayward Children series. I should probably do a series review of Wayward Children soon since I'm all caught up, but I've been procrastinating on that because I didn't like the series very much. Also on that same day in October is releasing Truth of the Divine by Lindsay Ellis. I am shocked that this made it onto my most anticipated releases of the fall list, but if you see my review of Axiom's End that I just did recently, I was just really surprised by how much I liked that book, and I really want to know what comes next. Now, I have seen that the sequel is supposed to be quite different, so it could be that whatever mysteriously made me enjoy Axiom's End so much will be entirely missing from book 2, but I'm still very curious to find out where this trilogy is going to go. It is a first contact story set in an alternate 2007, and yeah, a lot of things happened in book 1 that I think we're going to be exploring the ramifications of in book 2. So check out my review of Axiom's End if you're curious to see my take on that book. Otherwise, yeah, this was one of my surprise favorites of the summer, so yeah, looking forward to book 2, I guess, surprisingly. Okay, on November 2nd, The Veiled Throne by Ken Liu is coming out. This is the third book in the Dandelion Dynasty. I think that was originally supposed to be a trilogy, but this is not going to be the final book. I think there's going to be a fourth book as well. I actually have an arc of The Veiled Throne, And I don't know, I've just been procrastinating on reading it, which is kind of weird because I'm totally obsessed with this series. Book 1 is The Grace of Kings. Book 2 is The Wall of Storms. I adored them both. I need to do a video soon about just the series in general. I am so excited about The Veiled Throne. Maybe I just feel weird about the fact that I got an arc. This is kind of new to me. This year is the first time I started getting any arcs, so I'm used to just waiting for the release date, and now I don't have to, and I'm almost like scared to read it. But even so, I'm still excited for the release date, even though I technically could read it anytime now. I actually listened to the first 2 on audiobook, so I might actually consider getting the audiobook for book 3, even if I've already read it physically, just to continue that experience. Also, once the book releases, I'll have more people to talk about it with. And I had some really long, extensive conversations with my husband and with one of our friends about the first 2 books, so I am super excited for this. Maybe I'm a little bit afraid because I like the first 2 so much. Maybe I'm a little scared that book 3 is going to be a letdown, but I feel like the first 2 were just so good. This is a series that's not going to be for everyone. I think I've said when I described it in the past, there is something, especially about the first book, that feels a little bit historical and removed, the way it's narrated. You do get to know the characters and care about them, but it is just told in a more omniscient third-person narrator that jumps around a little bit more, and you're not as much just experiencing the story with the characters. It almost feels like you're reading a historical epic. I personally got to love that once I got used to it. I really enjoyed this whole world and this sweep of history that he's creating, and I feel like in book 2 it did get even more personal, but the style does take a little bit of getting used to. Then on November 9th, another book that I am just incredibly excited for, which is The Fall of Babel by Josiah Bancroft. This is the last one in the books of Babel. I have a review up of Senlin Ascends. I think I have a review up of The Arm of the Sphinx, and then I didn't review book 3 because I just feel like you get to kind of a point when you're doing reviews, we're reviewing book 3 of a series, and then you have to decide if you want to make it spoiler-free or not. I don't know. I have generally shied away from reviewing later books in series unless it's something, I don't know, that I think a lot of people have read or will want to watch, because otherwise it just doesn't really feel like I'm informing anyone. I'm just talking, and yeah. Not that all reviews have to be informative, but you know, I like to try to make videos that hypothetically somebody might want to watch. So I really hope that The Fall of Babel is going to be a good end to the series. I always get nervous for final books in series because you could have loved every moment of the series so far, and then the author can just totally screw it up. But I am relatively confident that that is not going to happen. I'm pretty sure it's going to be as great as the rest of the series. There's just so much that needs to get resolved, and this has been kind of a weird series the whole way through, so I don't know how much is going to get explained or resolved and how much will be just left, but I mean, I expect the main plot to get resolved, of course. And I'm just so attached to the characters at this point. I just love this story, and I want the book to be out already, and I'm also scared. The last one on my list, coming out November 23rd, is of course Cytonic by Brandon Sanderson. This series has not been my favorite series. That seems like a weird place to start a anticipated release, but I mean, you guys know I will read and do read anything Brandon Sanderson puts out, and I do enjoy this series. Do I wish it was another Cosmere book? Yeah, sure, but I understand that the man needs to do other things sometimes, and I do enjoy this series. I'm sure this book will at least be solid and enjoyable, and he seemed like he was taking the series some really interesting places. So I should have mentioned, Cytonic is book 3 in his Skyward series. Book 2 went some places I was totally not expecting and ended in a pretty exciting place. So I am definitely really curious where this series is going, and I'm sure I'll enjoy it. I actually didn't read, is book 2 Starsight? I think so. Yeah. Cool. Good thing it's right behind me. I didn't actually even read Starsight right away when it released. I kind of waited a little while, but I'm pretty sure I will read Cytonic right away. I am really looking forward to it, and I'm glad we have at least that Brandon Sanderson release this year. But you know what I'm really excited for is that in January, he's going to start writing Stormlight number 5. So you can add that one to my anticipated releases of probably 2023, I would guess. And then just as an honorable mention, I feel like I should acknowledge that the Wheel of Time TV series is supposed to be premiering in November. So I have finished through Wheel of Time number 3. I really need to keep going, but I I guess I am anticipating that. I'm going to see if I can get my husband to watch it along with me, even though he has not read a single word of The Wheel of Time ever. But he's usually a good sport with those sorts of things. I don't think he wants to read The Wheel of Time, but he'll watch the show with me. He doesn't have a choice. I am certainly not a huge Wheel of Time fan, at least not yet. I mean, I'm only 3 books in, but still, I think this series is going to be a big event. I really, really hope they do a great job. I don't watch that many shows really, but having a good one to watch and to enjoy and just seeing fantasy done well on screen is still really, really exciting. So I am overall really looking forward to the Wheel of Time show, and I hope it's great. So those are my anticipated fall releases. I feel like I haven't done as much research about debut novels and things like that, so I could be missing something here. Let me know down in the comments if there's anything you guys are really excited about, if you're excited about any of these, if there's anything else I should have on my radar, please let me know, and I'm looking forward to finding out about some new titles, if so.